What's up, guys? My name is Lusterling. I am a multidisciplinary artist based in Dallas, Texas, and this is Visionaries in Progress, the podcast experience. I am so excited to get this project started in a more public way. This is something that I have been working on behind the scenes for a little over a year now, and so I'm really happy to be bringing this to you in a live public setting. So I want to kind of give you an overview of what we're doing today and then what you can expect moving forward. So, Visionaries in Progress, well, it's a lot of things to me, but before I unpack what it is now, I want to talk about what is a visionary and what does it mean to be in progress. I know that listeners of this podcast are going to be coming from all different walks of life, different avenues, different industries. And so, what I wanted to do was I wanted to make tools, resources, conversations, stories, concepts available to anyone who can use it for whatever they're working towards in their future. And I think in a lot of spaces, when we use the term in progress, what that means is like we are not complete. We're not finished. Like I'm a work in progress. It's a work in progress. It's not finished. And so before we go any further, I want to set the standard right up front that by me calling this Visionaries in Progress, I am by no means saying that you, who you are, as a human, as a person, are incomplete or needing more work. I'm using Visionaries in Progress as you already are a visionary and you are en route. Whether you are working towards a vision that you have, a vision that you've created, a project, a goal, a creation, a dream, whatever it is, I want to speak to those who they know who they are, they know where they're going, and they are in that in between state. Maybe you haven't seen it all come to fruition yet. Maybe you are working on long term projects in the background and you know that it's going to take years of your life before people start to see and experience what it is that you're creating. I'm talking to you. So I want to bring conversations, guests, tools, resources, events to you that will help you no matter who you are, what you're creating, what you're making in the world, what your vision is. Because let's be honest, like there are so many voices in the world and it is so hard to navigate sometimes, especially when we're doing something individual, something unique, something original, something authentic. So these tools, these conversations, whatever it is that's shared in this space, it's designed to help you figure out what it is that you need, not someone telling you what to do, but it brings up conversations and insights, reflections that help you uncover for yourself what your next steps are. So that's my goal with Visionaries in Progress. And I thought, what better way to kick off the podcast by having a group recording for us today. So I have invited some of my really good friends that I've met along my journey who I personally view as a visionary. I see what they're doing, whether the world sees it or not. And I want to open up conversation, introduce you to some of the people I've met along the way. And today we will be talking about what is a visionary. So thank you for joining us today. I look forward to getting to know you over time. And yeah, let's jump in. So obviously, I am not in the same setting that we were. This is a totally different day than when we recorded the podcast. But I'm coming in here right here at the beginning to let you know that we are aware of the tech glitches that incur during this recording. I'm sharing it anyways because these things needed to be said. And at one point, even as everyone was joining and we were getting set up that day, we saw early on, okay, we're having tech issues. We decided to roll with it anyways. And we talk about it multiple times in the episode. We're joking about it and we start referring to it as tech demons. This is a term that I've adopted from James, as you'll hear later on. So just embrace it with us. Tech demons is what we have come to refer to all the little tech glitches that happen whenever you're trying to do something that you're really excited about or that's really big for you. So the tech demons were here with us today. So yeah, I just wanted to put this here. We're aware there are moments that there's a delay. It might seem like we're talking over each other because of the delay. I've done my best to correct some of those things on the editing side after the recording ended. However, every time I tried to make an edit, my system crashed. So I just decided to leave it. I'm putting this note here just to let you know I'm aware. Thank you for listening, anyways. It is listenable, or else I wouldn't be sharing it. And also, I am taking this as a celebration of how far I personally have come because past versions of me would be appalled that I'm sharing an episode that seems like quote unquote unpolished, or I would probably be like, oh no, what if people don't think this is professional or whatever? And that's not the point. The point is this happened. It was a great episode. A lot of golden nuggets were shared, and these are things that need to be said and need to be heard. So I'm so happy to bring it to you anyways. And yeah, let's get into the podcast.
Real quick
Start
question.
right, like right
Hey
where
y'all,
to start.
I am in transit.
Yes.
Are you okay with that bit on the video, or is this going to be audio primarily? What are you thinking? I just want to make sure I'm not disruptive.
This will be video, but you are welcome to be in transit. It doesn't bother me one bit. In fact, I think it's great. It just truly, I mean, I really want this podcast to feel like it's meeting people in the middle of wherever they're at. They're
In
driving to work.
LA,
They
the airport.
are, yeah, they're in the rain.
You're
Hold on, let me
literally
move.
a visionary in progress.
Yeah, it's pretty
Exactly.
inspirational
yeah.
watching you sit from the plane now making it through. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool.
In fact, I might even include that. I might have y'all, if you're comfortable saying just like where you're joining us from, what are you up to today? Just to kind of give, dang it. Okay, I think I can stay. Hold on. I mean, I knew this was a possibility. I exposed myself to the elements just trying to dodge angry coffee shop people that don't know what happened last time.
Can you hear me now, by the way, everyone, or no?
Okay, this works. Oh, this is better. There's like a breeze. Okay. All right, so hey guys, thank you so much for joining us for our first ever episode of Visionaries in Progress, the podcast experience. I'm Lusterling. I will be your host. I am a multidisciplinary artist in Dallas, Texas. And these here joining me today are some of my good friends I have met along the way over the past couple of years. I'm really excited to dive into this topic with them, introduce you to who they are and what they're up to in the world, and see where it goes. James, why don't you come on and tell us who you are and where are you joining from today? What's going on with you? And yeah, what are you up to in the world?
Yeah. I'm James. I like you said, multidisciplinary artist. That's a good. I would claim that, or a creator. You know, I am zooming in from Tyler, Texas, East Texas right now. Kind of what I'm up to right now. What I've been up to is completing work and sort of promotion on my movie Chip and Charlie Legend of the Swamp Dragon, which Lusterling's wearing the shirt right now, which is incredible. I love that. Thank you for that. And it's just been like kind of this. I've grown up with this kind of creative tendency, and here in East Texas, there's not a lot of avenues for it, and so probably most of my life has been learning to break out of my shell and to become honest and to really align with that, just kind of that honesty and destiny that I feel that I've been given. I'm finally starting to step into that and bring other people on board, and kind of it's just out of a purity and love. And so I'm working on this movie right now, and I'm getting to meet all sorts of cool people and encourage people and inspire people. And I just love it so much. So
Thanks, James. I'm really glad you're here. I'm excited about the film. Obviously, I was like, I have to wear this shirt today. Got to represent. I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. Joe, tell us who you are and where you're joining from, what you have going on today, or in general, what are you up to?
Hi, I'm Joe. I am joining from my kitchen in Jacksonville, Florida. And my general what I have going on in life is essentially learning how to be Joe. I'm learning how to be in my body and with my process. And today that's feeling rather nonverbal. So I don't know how much I'm going to be coming on with my voice, but I'm here with you, holding the energy, and I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Joe. I love that. Joe and I will have our nonverbal hangouts or nonverbal audio messages we send to each other. So thanks for mentioning that, Joe. And yeah, you're welcome to pop in and out as you feel. Thank you for being here. Yay. Derrick, let us know. Where are you at? Who are you? What are you up to? Want to hear from you.
I'm Derrick Walker, born in Dallas, Texas, currently broadcasting from the transit bus at LAX terminal to the baggage claim. And I'm out here doing this promotional work for my friend Mal. My only favorite DSPs, Hop Brown and Word. And just really looking forward to this conversation and reconnecting with some familiar faces and voices.
All right, thanks, Derek. So I don't know how the audio is going to translate on that one, but here's what I heard, or I think I heard. So give me a thumbs up if this is right. So you're Derrick Walker, we know that, but you're joining us from the airport in LA. You are in transit on the bus on the way to baggage claim. You are there working on your album.
I'm
Did you say
promoting
album,
my
or that's
album.
what you're working on right now? Promoting your album. Okay. And it is a spoken word album. And you're looking forward to being a part of the conversation.
That's it.
Something like that. Okay, cool. Good. I'm glad. I just wanted to make sure in case I thought I heard you, but you never know. Okay. Thank you, Derek. And Victoria, tell us who you are. What are you up to in the world? Where are you at today?
Give me 1 second.
I think you're muted, Victoria. Fun times. So, brief intermission, or let me just insert right here. Something that James and I talk about a lot are tech demons, tech issues. No one is exempt. It happens every time you do something. So, while it's happening right now, I just want to remind you that if you're experiencing tech issues whenever you're trying to do something, please don't take it as a sign to quit. Please.
The contrary. Yeah, it means keep going.
Yeah, I feel like some of my best moments have been precedented by a major tech inconvenience that every time it was like asking me like, all right, do you trust yourself? Do you believe in yourself? Okay, then turn it back on and let's go. Yeah, I'm gonna message her real quick or something. See, this is fun. Something, there's always something. But now I know how this platform works. This is exciting.
It
So
completely cut
I
me
use
out
this
and
platform
just like booted me
because
out of the thing and then restarted. So
here
as
she
I was
is.
talking,
I'll
I
be
was like,
quiet.
"All right." I'm Victoria. I live here in Plano, Texas. I am a visual artist, getting ready for a couple art shows here at the end of the year. And I'm also in the process of getting my real estate license. So I'm just like one test away, and I will be helping people find sanctuaries. Let me see, live in a world of artistry, and I did a lot of nonprofit work with victims of or survivors of sexual assault. So I'm trying to merge the two with helping people find their own sanctuary. So that's kind of the avenue I'm kind of moving through, but I'm still sculpting and painting. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Victoria. I'm really excited to see how that plays out for you because like you've shared with me bits of your vision before and how you see yourself like doing that. And so I'm really excited for all that's coming for you. That's really cool. Well, thank you guys again for joining us. And kind of what I want to do today is I want to ask some big, loaded, open-ended questions just to get some thoughts out there, give you some space to express your perspective on this, and let's see where it takes us. So the first question I have for us today is, what is a visionary? What is that? And don't worry about being like so eloquent or having like a perfect definition. Just like, what's your perspective on it? And how do you see that playing out? And you can just, I guess, unmute or raise your hand and I can unmute you or something.
See, can you hear me? For me, I guess visionary is helping others, creating paths. As a runner, I am realizing some paths are already have cement on them and I can go. And there's other paths that I have to kind of go through the grass. And a visionary is seen for other people to make their way through. So it's all I'm doing in my vision of being a visionary is creating a path for other people to move through it however they need.
I love that. I have never heard anything. Ooh, we haven't all the things. It is raining. I don't know if you can hear it. I might be hiding under this pillow for the remainder of this experience. So bear with me. But I love that. I love what you mentioned about creating paths for others. That's really important. I'm going to mute. And if there's anyone else who wants to pop on, let's go.
Hey, yeah, so that's not a word that I'd personally thought much about or just really connected with or contemplated until I was in your field, and it's a word that comes up around you a lot. And so it really stimulated me thinking about what does that mean? And I think what comes up for me often with it is that it's like, okay, everybody has what they can see. They're like, even if we're, because it's not just there's like, okay, literal sight, but then we have lots of other senses that how we're often like, lots of times we'll talk about something how we see, but actually it might be something really we just knew or we felt, or, it can be different things that it's like our experience of reality, like what our perspective on reality is. And then for me, like whenever I hear you talk about visionary, and then like, okay, what is that different than just being someone who's like, okay, I have a perspective, I'm experiencing, sensing something, but then what turns it into like a visionary? And there's something about the sharing of that. They're like, okay, I have something that I'm experiencing, perceiving, but it's like that's not the only part of it. There's like it goes beyond that into now I'm sharing it in some way.
Yeah. I think both of those just great examples. Victoria, I'm a runner too, by the way. I totally understand what you're talking about with the pathways and stuff. A visionary, I think that we're all, I mean, so solely unique, just individually as individual people. But I think we're this like beautiful mix of like physical, like we're here with this like logical, real, tangible stuff, but we're also these spirits as well. And I think it's almost like having goggles where you can look under the water. If you're a visionary, you can see something that doesn't exist here. It's more real than here, but I think we all have a unique perception on the other side of the tracks, and we can kind of like retrieve things that I think can bring beauty and change, and we can communicate these things to people. I think it's kind of our job is to bring that here through our own vehicle, if you will. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I would say that a visionary is someone who has an idea and recognizes the need to share that with an expert, a leader, a follower, and a doer. And I say sharing because it's also with consideration and in alignment with those whom you are in the vision with and share that vision with. So having those components, recognizing that reality is to know something.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can translate Derrick real quick. So, someone that has an idea of something, you said something in between, but basically it's like you see it, you know it, and you believe it first. But it's also the sharing of that and aligning with other people who fall into that vision that makes it a visionary. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, yes. How bad does it sound?
What you're doing right now is a lot better, but I think it's just picking up a lot of noise. But whenever
I'll
you're
try
holding it
this.
like that
Okay.
and talking, it's better. Okay. Yeah. So this is exactly why I wanted to start with this question, because everyone is going to have a different view of what that word even means. And a lot of it is going to come from who you are, what you've experienced, the context that you've heard the word or not heard the word. And I know me personally, the only way I heard that word used in earlier like times in my life where someone they have already made it to a certain point in their life and people are like, "Oh, they're such a visionary. They're such a visionary. They created this unique thing. They set this thing in motion. They're always this. It's so unique, right? It has this like quality to it. Like they already did that." I never heard people talk about it in terms of hearing someone's idea, hearing the vision before it's happened and calling them a visionary. And so I think what all of us have in common is like what we all shared in our perspectives is like there is a path of sorts between the two. There is the initial seed, the thought, the idea, the moment when something occurs to you as a possibility. And then there's on the complete other side of the spectrum where this thing is in reality. And there is a million, quadrillion, billion different facets of things that can happen in between. Perceive point A, perceive point B, right? And it's like how we even engage with who we are on the path is informed by our definition of who we are and what we're doing, right? If you see yourself as someone who, let's say, yeah, I have ideas, that's different than perceiving yourself as I am a visionary. I am bringing these things through. I am going from here to there. And yeah, I think it's really important to start there, just even understanding what it is, so that way we can engage like who we are at that level. So I don't know, sorry, I just get excited. I could talk about this forever. Okay, question number 2. Can anyone be a visionary, or is it something that is let's say isolated or specific to certain personality types, traits, ways of thinking? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, any person can be a visionary because they have a vision. Having a vision is simply an idea. The part that really extends the idea of it being a visionary is that you have the ability to identify experts and other leaders and pull people together to make to be a part of it. And that includes, if it's a service, it's customers as well. And so understanding how to be considerate of others in making sure this idea happens. And the success of that is based on ideas have to happen in your mind and then in reality. The ability to do that purely makes you a visionary. How you operate it is based on what opportunities present
Definitely
themselves.
would agree with that.
Yeah, I think everybody. I agree as well. I think everybody has that. I think it's kind of built in to kind of our framework. I think the world is so noisy, even like from the moment we're born, and even as a kid, you're tossed into like elementary school, and there's just so much that you're presented with. I think that vision. I think you have to go inside to find it. Really, you can be inspired by outside and by other people, but I think everybody just has it, and I think it's what's important is like what you do with it, and that you actually find it and kind of cultivate it. But I think
I definitely would agree. I think it
everybody's got a
comes
special
within. Well, I know it
piece
comes
of
within
the
just from
puzzle.
my own experience and even watching. I have 4 boys, and they're all from elementary to college, and to watch them go within to channel their goals and their discipline. That's an all, like, I'm choosing to do this, or it's all within motion of the discipline. I think I'm just stuttering over words right now, but it is definitely an inner response to the desire you have to push out. You could be influenced by the outside, but it's all comes in here and then it gets pushed out to others.
Yeah, it's interesting that we all kind of identify something as happens on the inside first, that we see or that we experience or that we dream or believe, and we have to make it exist outside of like our bodies. And it comes with a certain responsibility. It comes with a certain challenge as well because it it can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like you want to do things in one way when the reality is those options don't work for visionaries the same way they work for someone else. And maybe not even without comparing it to someone else, but just when you have the vision, when you're a visionary, you accept the
And I think a
responsibility
key
of making
component to it
sure
is
that
having the
idea
conscious and
happens.
subconscious mind work together. And that is an internal thing because we are in a noisy world. We're separated from those two things within ourself, the body and the mind. And when one is active in combining those two things, they do become a visionary because it is a full discipline within your own self to push outwards.
Yeah. One more little thing is making me think about it too. We're kind of like even thinking about the outside world, outside influences. We're kind of like these walking guitars, and like things happen, like life experiences, or like we'll hear a song, or we'll see a flower or grass or something, and it's almost like it strums a certain string with you, and it's either, well, that's uncomfortable or incompatible with my guitar, or like, oh my god, that gave me some life there, that lit me up. And to like focus on those things and kind of like meditate on those or sit in them and like, why did that do that? But I think there's like a harmony too. It's like it's on the inside, but it's also like it can be affected by the outside or brought out by other people and
You know,
situations.
as you said that, I'll speak for myself. It was the moment I felt the God in me exist in human form. If we're going like from a spiritual perspective, it's to have the sensation of what I believe God has, Like to be a visionary and to have the world exist as it does, you've got to have like that's got to be something magnanimous about you. And I don't believe that we can exist in a world of a creator
I want to echo
and
that.
not have
I'm
the
a very
same
spiritual
abilities.
person, and I believe that I have a God that is all serving, who's even sent his son to die for me. I believe that with everything in my being. And I know that he made me in his image and his likeness. And the minute I understood that, what is going to stand in my way? Because he created all of this, the light, the sky, the darkness. I mean, every inch of it was created, and I'm in that image. Like, yeah, that makes me a visionary because my creator is an almighty God and I'm in his likeness.
Can you say that
But I
again?
said
It
we're all
cut out,
God's
Derek.
NIL, name, image, likeness. That's a sports reference. Yes.
I'm like, I
Sorry.
don't. Did you say NIM? No, it's okay. Okay, this is amazing because like I hate when other people do this, but I'm about to do it. It feeds directly into the next question, which is, are visions internal, external, created, or inspired? Or are they a combination thereof? Where does it come from? Basically, what is it to you?
I think it's all of it. I definitely think it's all of it, and probably more. Kind of, which you know how I feel about God and everything, and the sort of grand, infinite expression of like love and redemption. I think it's all of it, and I think it all points towards healing or wholeness or forgiveness. I think there's, even if it's like some darker stuff, or if it highlights something that's, I think it's all for the point and purpose of understanding and of becoming something more, this heaven on earth kind of thing. And it comes through us. And if God showed up as a human, what a great relatable love letter of like, hey, you can relate to to this level of humility. If some the ultimate creator being is like, hey, show up as a human, by the way, walk like this, being, and even that being, even a human, God embodied form, being an expression of the infinite. And then it's like, hey, you're that as well, by the way. It's just incredibly awesome. But I think it's all of it. And I think everything points to that. At its essence, everything points to that.
James, I think you're spot on. And there, even in the resurrection of oneself and transforming, that whatever you go through, whatever chaos that is, there's so much beauty in it because once you get to the other side, you get to see that the the root of it, or not even the stem. I have a sunflower growing outside. There's like four of them, and they all sprouted at different times, all beautiful, different sizes. One has support, one doesn't. But the root of the stem of them is so thick and it allows it to be strong so that way it can. And I believe that's like the life, the root of what comes within us. And then whatever happens in life makes us be this huge root or stem. And then we get to shine and be bright. And that's all those seeds within that watermelon, or I have so many stuff outside, sunflower. You can make more. Like, so I'm going to give you a part of myself so that way you can go blossom and bloom, and it just continues. So it's a combination of all the trauma, all the everything that will allow you to shine.
I'm sorry, I love that. That perspective is so accurate. It's like the even circumstances, like it's all food for us. It's all a plate for us to eat off of, and it's like the world doesn't happen to us if we have that perspective. Like we happen to it. And that's where actual change is, and that same spirit or whatever, we can apply that to literally anything that we're presented with, whether it's, raining while you're trying to set up, or the tech demons show up. It's like you get to embody that spirit in that moment. And, I think that's where the gold is.
Yeah. So if you could repeat the question, because I heard it, but I don't think I need to hear it again.
Sure. So the question was, where do visions come from? Are they internal? Are they external? Are they created? Are they inspired? What's your experience?
Visions happen for me in one way, but in multiple ways, but often at the same time. It is, and that's how I know it's a vision, because I can see the same. I can see from one point. I can see multiple, like multi hyphenated, multidiscipline. Is that kind of energy? But it's the ability to be present. The ability to be present, honoring the past and considering the future, all at the same time. And that comes from inspiration, that comes from instructions, that comes from, and which all stems from being present. When we are present, when we are in the moment and accepting all that is, we have the opportunity to do a podcast that has us all around the world experiencing real life as it happens. It has the ability for us to um, speak about the same terms and answer the same question, and it still unlock a spectrum of thought as it relates to the same thing, and we all get inspired and start to see more. Like I've seen visions just hearing you all and hearing us talk and having a conversation. So it's being present.
Oh, let me see if I'll go. The presence is such a biggest gift. It is a practice that is something you have to choose to do every single day and sometimes every minute. It's when I feel out of control or the noise or there's too much distraction, and then pulling back into oneself and being like, I am here in this moment, allows those visions to just pop up and you're like, I see exits everywhere. I see entrances everywhere. And that presence is the biggest gift I know I've ever been given in my life. The ability to be in the now.
Okay, this is fun. So my brain is super literal. Despite what anyone would probably think. I have very, I don't want to say black and white thinking, but my brain is like okay, so wait, side note. Everything that y'all are saying, so I started writing different things down like that stood out to me, and it's creating this awesome web that I'll share with you in a minute, but like what's popping off in my brain right now is like in all of your responses, there was this through line of like, I don't want to use the word possibility, but it's like there are infinite ways that something can express regardless of like where it is. Like all of you kind of shared like a different perspective of where a vision comes from for you, but you all kind of touched on understanding that it has all of these infinite expressions. There's a ripple effect. There's a seed. It creates more. Like there's other exits, I feel like for me years ago, whenever I first started having visions, something that was really challenging for me personally was that whenever I would see something like that, I thought that was the only way it could be. And that sent me on such a impactful route of exploration and understanding how these things work, because I take things literally. And so it's like I would have this vision, and for anyone listening, when I'm talking about a vision, we can answer this question from like so many different perspectives. So take it how it resonates for you. My brief definition is when you see something possible for you, I would relate it to, and okay, so when you have an idea, right? There are visual thinkers, there's people who think in words and people who think in concepts and people who have like a knowing without words, visuals. It's just like this form of understanding, right? So I would connect a vision to operating similarly to how an idea operates, where it can present in different forms, but you understand what it is that you're seeing, right? So whether it's like, oh, I had this vision of me on stage, you're like, I created a vision, like I am using my imagination to dream up like what I want my dream home. It's not something that like appeared to me. It's like I can put that tool in my brain to use for something, right? So like I'm literal like that. Like I break things down in that way. And so whenever I started having, for lack of better words, spontaneous visions, like these like epiphany feeling like, aha, like there is this thing. It's not what I was trying to create. It's not like I was sitting there brainstorming. It's not like, it's like something I experienced, and it's everything that everyone, uh, tech glitch. Please hold. Hey, Victoria, I just got a notification that could you close your browser, refresh, and try restarting. It's everyone else it's recording for, but for some reason it lost the connection recording for you. I know you just hopped back on, but do you mind doing that one more time? Man, the tech glitch, right? When I'm in the middle of like saying something like important to me. Anyways, whenever it started, I started having them spontaneously. I didn't have an understanding of how to operate with it, use it. Where is this coming from? It was just an experience that I had, and it spoke to me. It's like it related to me. I understood it. There was information. There was a feeling. Like it had this like tone, this feeling, this presence, this like, this is not just me because I was thinking about this and then this happened. And um I was excited. I was curious. I was interested. I wanted to know what that was about. And I didn't believe it was possible for me for a very long time. And there was a turning point whenever um, it's like they were happening closer together. Um, there was a shorter amount of time between when I would have that experience and when something directly related would happen in my reality. It's like I would have this experience and then something within a couple days or sometimes immediately would happen. And I feel like for me, being that like so black and white kind of person, sometimes rigid thinking, it's like it took me through a series of events to show me that it's not always going to mean something literal every single time. So what I think is really beautiful is how like everyone else who responded didn't even start there, you know? And so I find that fascinating. It makes me curious as like someone who's, I don't want to say like wrestled with that for the majority of my life, but yeah, I don't know if you can hear that loud vehicle in my environment. But anyways, I'm curious, and for anyone listening who might relate more on my end of the spectrum where it's like I didn't know that early on, like I embrace it as that now after years of, you know, going down that rabbit hole. But I'm curious, like what brought you to that understanding of the more infinite expression of what a vision can be, because I was having a very finite view for a very long time.
I think what you, just from previous conversations, I think the answer is kind of like what you've done. Some of the stories that you've shared is like just to step out on it and just like try to communicate with it, or it's a relational thing
Did
to
we lose
learn what
James?
it means. And so like stepping out, I would say, and risk looking foolish or just strange, I think is the key to it. And then when you step out, it's just like it meets you and it's like a dance. But the more you dance, the more it becomes clear. And I think that relationship and that communication grows to where you do get to where you can understand. I'd had a dream one time at one of my older jobs that this specific guy was cleaning out his office. And I thought, oh, I wonder what that means. And I went into work the next day and he was gone. His office was cleared out. And that was like a specific one. But then I've had other ones that are just super allegorical or just like there's like a meaning to it. It's not so specific. And I think it's just honoring, I think it's being present and honoring what you get and valuing your vision and acting on it. And then when it shows up for you, it's like experience or it's a vocabulary in your dictionary.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking about it in terms of being relational and communicative, I think I've had a very similar exploration of so I had what people might call like extrasensory awarenesses my whole life, but I just was raised, socialized to think of that as like, oh, that's just your imagination. Like that doesn't mean anything. It's just a silly little childish thing. And hopefully like it'll go away as you like grow up and mature. Cause that's really the goal is to not be like distracted by that. Like it was a immature childish thing. And so then to reach a phase of my life where I started recognizing like, oh wait, this is not nonsense. This is meaningful and valid. And then starting to explore like, okay, but in what, like, how does that work? And in what capacity? What, you know, what, okay, it's meaningful, but what does it mean? And I think it's been really helpful to me that people have started, it's started to be more of a, I wouldn't say yet mainstream, but more of a common thing you're hearing people talk about, essentially the nonlinear nature of reality. And I think so many of us, we were raised to understand that reality was a very linear thing. And like that's just what it is and how it works. And then to start to like wrap your head around like, oh, that's not how reality works. And so it's like, okay, I might get a certain kind of vision and today like it means something that like I want to follow really literally, and another times a very similar experience might be something that is just to stir certain like, okay, how would I feel if, and then that contemplation then nourishes how I am doing whatever else I am doing, which isn't that direct action of whatever you know, the vision or whatever that came up. And so it's just accepting that, oh, it's a very, there's not a rule. There's not a like first A and then B and then plus C and that's going to equal like success. It's like, no, we're out here figuring it out.
Okay, my brain is doing this thing where it's formulating a question that is loaded, and I'm sitting with my level of safety asking this question. So I'm going to give myself permission to ask it in this space, and knowing that if this is something I cut out of the recording later, okay. So permission. Okay. The question is, and disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional. I am not in the medical field whatsoever when I ask this question. Okay. Maybe it's not a question. Maybe I'm just going to put something out there and see what y'all have to say. In certain spaces, having a vision or a multisensory experience that you then derive meaning or direction in your life and pursue it is seen as a characteristic of a mental illness. Leaving that there, my question is, what are your thoughts on that? If you can speak to that at all. And yeah, floated question.
I think you ultimately have to just do it anyways. You don't have to. I think you're supposed to. We all steward this unique thing, and a lot of it looks crazy. A lot of it looks very, very strange, and it's not. It doesn't fit in with the norm, you know. But I think if you dig deep enough, and you find that alignment with who you are and who you're created and built to be, I think the correct thing to do, or the life thing to do, anyways, is to just go with it anyways and bring something new into the world. Otherwise, you know, you can fall by the wayside. I don't think anything is like you're going to doom yourself or anything like that, but I think it's worth it. And it kind of comes with the territory. I think if you do, the more you become truthful and act truthfully like that, it inspires people too. It's because it's not normal, and you're doing something. You're following. The thing about being a visionary is you're following something that's invisible, and you're bringing something here that nobody can see yet. But when you do it, when people see that drive and the reality that you're functioning based on something they can't see, that makes it real alone and introduces that into the world and inspires people to do the same thing. But there is nothing as powerful as somebody believing something and acting on it. And when they actually believe it, you can just feel it all over the place. I would say do it regardless, or follow it.
Thanks, James. Yeah, I know it's like loaded, but my brain goes there because I've been one of those people who has been looked at in that way. And it's interesting to me because I feel like I've read a lot or studied it enough just to understand like why people hold that perspective. And I can see how certain things would be scary without like, I know I'm being vague, but like I can imagine, this hasn't happened to me, but I can imagine there might be things out there maybe people are experiencing that if they acted on it would cause danger, harm, you know, just it's like something that you wouldn't do. Like you wouldn't bring it into the world. And so I guess something that I check with myself, or I don't want to say check with, I don't think I do this intentionally, but it's something I've thought about in retrospect, is like the things that I've experienced or that I've seen and then pursued, it was never like harmful to anyone. It's not putting me in danger. It's like a creation, a concept, an understanding, a perspective, a, it's not like, and I think that I kind of want to bounce off what you're saying, James, but you're talking about when you're in alignment with what you were created to be, you're stewarding something, and you made the comment, you're stewarding this thing. And I'm assuming that you were making a reference to like that aspect of yourself, like that, I don't know if I would say a quality in a person, but that muscle, it's like that experience, that capability of seeing and experiencing that or whatever. You're stewarding something that, other people may not understand, but if you understand yourself and your role and like your purpose and your mission, even, like, you would be able to place that information, that vision in context with what you know about yourself in order to then pursue it in a way that's right for you. And I think that's a different process than just having some like random, like almost hallucination, or like something that doesn't have a meaning, or like a positive outcome, or you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a different experience. And I, again, don't know if I'll share this, but I did want to name it because I know that if I've had experiences in the past where that has been a challenge that someone has confronted me with, that I am not alone in that.
I love both the takes, and
Yeah,
I think when I have had
that's my
that
hot
challenge come
take.
up with people who have pushed back on my vision or just who I am when I'm stepping into my essence, it's because it's something that reflects back to them of who they are and they're not stepping into. So it feels as rejection from my side, but it's more fear of them stepping into who they are because I'm nudging at that inside them. So it's just a mirror. I believe we're all mirrors to each other. And some will make your mirror bigger behind you, and some will make you shrink down and feel like I don't want to see myself. And I think when I have had what y'all are both saying within myself, and met it from the other side, it feels like rejection, but it's completely not. It's me showing that other person what they're supposed to be doing, and they push back. If that makes sense.
It's like a mirror. It's like mirroring some aspect of them, something maybe unexpressed, untapped into, misunderstood, or I could list a
Just
whole
being
bunch of
there.
words. It's something that they're downplaying or whatever, and you're highlighting it by,
So it's easier
yeah,
to
you're
label,
bringing
I think,
something into
sometimes for some
fruition,
people to
into
say, oh,
form.
they're mentally ill, or because it is scary of stepping into that unknown, or even just stare at the mirror long enough to say, man, maybe that's something I have within me too. Why does this make me feel so uncomfortable? So I'm just going to name you as this. I'm going to say that kind of when you were like the mental illness, or does anybody put that on you? I know for myself, when anybody has put that on me, when I look back, I'm like, oh, they had that quality in them too. And I just triggered that on their end because I was putting action to it where they were not. And it was just like, and people have come into my life where I've been on the other, I see them and I'm like, man, are they an alien to this world? But something like makes me go, oh, and it's because I need to be stepping into that too. They were brought in to put that mirror and go, this is what you need to be doing. And it can feel foreign and make you feel like you're a little bit of an alien on both sides.
Yeah.
And I want to tag on to that a little bit too. What you were saying about, well, sometimes, and this is the thing, people will probably listen to this and probably be thinking this like, well, I do have thoughts where, I have a pencil and I want to hit this guy in the back of the head. There are these urges and these thoughts, but there's something really special and important about understanding it's not bad. It's not guilty. You're not bad for having that thought. It's like you're in a theater and what comes across the screen, you have the option what to do with it, or to align with it or to not. And if anyone's listening to this, if you have thoughts like that, just don't feel shame or guilt or anything like that over those thoughts, by the way. It's what you do with it. And me personally, going back to like God, like my allegiance is to life, and it is to redemption. And so if anything comes across that is not fall in line with that, I can trash it easily. It may just keep coming back around, but each time it comes back around, I'm like, yeah, that's not it. But there's such a demystification and level of freedom that comes with like having grace on yourself for what you see, for what's your vision, what comes across your screen. So that to that too, I think everybody has those bad thoughts. Like I said, throwing a pencil at that's a specific one. I've wanted to throw a pencil at somebody before, obviously, but I didn't do it. But
Actually, I have a story for that.
yeah,
It's brief, but so this was like several years ago, but I was far enough along in my exploration of like, what are these things? What are these visions? I've been pursuing them. Here are some things that have happened. Here's the data I've collected, like, and I had some pushback from some people, and and I remember having these thoughts one day, or this conversation of like, well, it's never steered me the wrong way. Like something all good always came from it. It was never harmful. It was never hurtful. It's like useful, practical information that I could immediately implement in my life that did, in fact, lead me to a place of getting to where I personally needed to be. And I'll stand by that. And I had this like sense of like, well, I've never had a vision of me hurting anyone. I've never like I had this thing in me that was like, see, so it's fine, right? Well, there was this one day that I was in a room. I won't tell you which room, but I was in it, and I was having a conversation with some people, and someone said something that made me so angry. And I'm like a very calm person. I can get excited, like happy and chatty, but like when I'm angry, I don't express it outwardly much. Like I might cry or like shed a tear, right? So I'm sitting there, and it was almost like my whole reality like hit pause for a second. Like they said this thing, and I turned to look at them just out of like I know what I was feeling. I was feeling this like, are you kidding me? Like so I turned, and like in between us there was this little side table, and there was a water bottle that I had. It was like a metal, screw top water bottle. And I turned to look at them just to like, really? And I saw myself like it was like I was like one layer back, grabbing this water bottle and just boom, blink, like just oh, and I was like, oh, and it's like I had this moment where I'm like, I mean, yeah, that's how I feel right now. Like, yes, I'm very angry. Like, I didn't act on it, and like I'm not that person, right? But it was almost like it's become something that's become funny to me, like looking back of like this moment where I always use that as like, well, see, it's not bad stuff, right? It's like it showed me exactly what you're talking about. It's what you do with it. And like you've mentioned like several times, like, well, I think we all have in different capacities. It's like you are in the control tower over here, choosing your actions and how you pursue something. It's what you do with that information. And I'm telling the story, but like, it's a thing.
well, and I think too, whenever you're presented with those, I always see it like a theater, obviously, movie guy, but whenever you're presented with those opportunities, it like not being feeling guilty for them, but when they show up, it's like, oh, that's an opportunity to like pour the contrary into it too. Like it's another example. I was in the grocery store. Every time I do tech stuff, the tech demon shows up. Every time I go to the grocery store, I get stuck behind the coupon lady, and I'm holding like a case of water, and I just like kind of have to suffer. But those are moments where I want to, toss the water case or whatever. But the cashier's there, and I can say, "Oh, wait, this is an opportunity for me to choose patience, and then for me to showcase patience in this bad negative scenario, and I can counter that." And that's what it's about. And it affects me, it grows me, it affects the cashier, and it brings peace to the scenario. So looking at them with that perspective too, of like, oh, what can I do to counter that?
Yeah, I love that. I think it's interesting. It's like it's giving you access to more of yourself in those spaces of, you know, ways that you would choose to operate. And thanks for indulging my loaded question, because I know that oh, something else I was thinking. Sorry, my brain kind of stalled out for a second, but it's like um the word in my head was muscle, and how a lot of times we can use our mind as a muscle, or like use different parts of us, we've learned something, we become good at it, it becomes a muscle, and then there's muscle memory. And something I've reflected on a lot is like I'm in general a visual person. I visualize pretty much everything. If you ask me what I want to eat, I'm going to imagine or picture like different foods and like my like if it were sitting in front of me and I'm picturing it, what is my reaction to it? And it's like that is the most active part of my processing. I don't know if I don't know if it's the most active, but it's like I experience things in that way. Or like whenever I have an idea, it's not words. It's like I'm picturing this possibility of a thing, right? And so I don't have the answer to this, but a question I have considered before is what if the reason why I'm experiencing this emotion that way is because that is a way that I process information. So like not that it's a bad thing that that thought presented itself to me, it's just like it came through that channel because that is a primary place I process. And so it's like coming down that, it's like how you said you called it like what's coming across the screen. I very much relate to that. It's like even as we're talking, it's like my brain has like pop ups in the browser and it's like, here's this thought. And I don't know if that's how other people experience it, but yeah, that's been a question is like, what if the reason why these thoughts are coming to me in this way, good or bad, negative, exciting, whatever. It's just, it's
One thing
like because that's how I process
Oh, so
information.
sorry.
So
I was
removing,
just gonna
oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna say making it neutral, like removing the good or bad from it. It's just like this is a process. It's not what you do with it is what's making it quote good, bad,
I was
ugly,
just gonna add
beautiful,
saying
whatever. Okay,
that it
go.
also is a moment that you could be like, I'm present. When you feel that emotion, you're not dismissing it. Because what happens when we dismiss it, we store it. And then you get mad later and you don't even realize why you're upset, but it's because you didn't deal with that in that current moment. So even if it's just you visualizing, throwing something and being like, oh my gosh, this person makes me just want to like, you're present with yourself. And then you can say, this particular thing made me irritated with this person. Why did it make me irritated? Back in, fifth grade, they said something so outlandish like this statement she just said. I'm actually really mad from back there. Now I can sit with it, put it in the cubby, and I can go. So for me, when I'm having those moments, I'm also aware of, oh, I'm so present with myself. I'm not going to store it. And what is popping up was something that happened a long time ago, and I can put it where it needs to go.
And that's real power there. When everything in you is telling you to do something, whenever it's trying to persuade you to follow through with whatever the negative thing, but it's real power to feel that and have every right to do that. But then to sit back and say, no, my allegiance is to love or redemption, to God. And then when you make that decision, it feels so contrary to everything. But on the other side of it, it's like you just took some keys back.
I have a
Power.
question, if that's okay if I ask. We know that vision, since we all have, like, we're talking about visionary and having these visions, do they just come or do you have a particular place that you can go to channel it? Like for me, I can sit in my meditation or I can run into meditation where I'm like so hyper focused on whatever comes to me, but my body and my mind are connected in one place. I move through my body, right? And there's times where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh, that's an idea. Let me write that down. Or I can actually see it happening. And I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I know it's going to get there. Do you have a place where you channel it? Or is it just kind of at random? Those ideas and the inspiration.
I would love to speak to this. This isn't an answer, but I'm going to tell you my experience. I used to wish it was something that I could channel and tap into at any time. And I say used to because part of the way my brain works is I very much am like pattern recognition. Like I'm noticing, okay, when this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened with this. this time, this was the setting. Like, it's like my brain is constantly storing information of like how things happened for me. And there were times whenever I was praying or journaling or like asking, and the answer came in a form of a vision, right? There were times. There were also times where I wasn't looking for it and it was spontaneous. And over years of that, it's like I wanted more than anything for the answers to the questions of my life to come. Just show me. And I would even like approach prayer or meditation from that space of like, I'm here, I'm open, like I'm trying to do this thing. There's this situation in my life. What should I do about this? Asking for guidance about that, or even to inform my process as an artist or like as a musician. I definitely went through a phase where, oh, I don't know if this is a phase, but I'll just name it. It was a period where I believed, not saying I don't still believe this, but that creations and ideas and things come from that. And so if I got to a place personally where I felt stuck or didn't know what to do, I wanted to be able to just get in that space and receive the information. And I know that a lot of people on the internet will tell you that yes, you can channel it, you can tap into it in any time. And I don't want to say no that you can't. I think that everyone has a process, and if someone that's their experience, great. But I know for me personally, my experience has been you don't always get to know, and sometimes that is what you need. And that is your answer. And something I've been leaning into recently is you are the artist. Like, you decide, you create, like you have an idea, like trust yourself as a brain, as a creator to come up with your own thoughts. And I'll be diving into more of this like in other episodes or whatever, because like I said, I could talk about this topic forever, but like I don't think there's one true answer for everyone. I think it's a beautiful experience whenever you are able to find that process that works for you and brings that insight, but also I would say don't make it a rule. I think that's what makes it such a cool experience, is that it's not like a formula, and or at least not for me. And I have to remind myself that frequently, just because I know that there were times that I did go through periods of frustration that I couldn't just channel something. And then there were also times when I was asking and I was getting information, but I wasn't taking action on it. And like I was already planning on bringing this up, but like almost in every answer from each person to every question I've asked today, there's been the element of taking action. And it's like I got to the point that I had so much I was trying to store and carry and wrestle with. It was like I can't even receive anymore because I am not sharing it. I am not putting it somewhere. So all of that to say, that would be my answer, is it's it's going to be dependent on who you are, what you're doing, your individual process. And maybe that's the journey for you. Maybe that's like a question that your life will show you is like, Victoria, like I would love for you to, have such trust that you know that you can turn it on at any moment and channel anytime. And that is it for some people. Or maybe for you, it's, Victoria, I want you to trust me even when there are no answers, but that doesn't mean don't be open. Or maybe it's like, girl, it's time to get it out. And I don't think anyone can answer that for you personally. That's my, that's
It's funny, the trust part. When I got cut out a while back because it keeps booting me out of this account, out of the podcast. But you know, we're talking about actually never mind. It just left my brain. It said dee dee dee, not for you right now. Shut your mouth. But right now for me, it is the channeling of like my emotions, my presence when I feel out of control, or if I feel like, let me just go run. And that has been a form, but it's not always that. And sometimes it's just sitting there with the kids and the boys will say something or talking to a stranger. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. Or it's a literal thing that pops in my head. But the trusting that it's going to be all okay is the key to everything. And when I'm not, I hear the voice, are you trusting me? And then I have to let it go.
That actually made me think of something else. I think things can happen in layers as well. Like there might be a phase in your life where that's it for you. Like that is it for you. And for that time being, it's like the running, the practice, the consistency, the pursuit. And you'll notice those answers or those visions or whatever, like appearing that way. Like, and I feel like I definitely did that. I think that's why I started approaching it that way, because I thought, like, okay, well, if this is how I'm experiencing it now, then I'll always experience it like this. And now, like, looking back on it, I'm like, I wonder, or like my current operating theory is like, I think that my life has arranged itself in a way that I went through like chapters of learning different things. And in order for me to like learn something and feel like confident with it, it was showing up like very consistently one way, or like, and it's like I learned how to tap into it that way. But then there was a moment where it's like, I don't hear anything. I don't, you know, whereas now I look at it more of just like keeping myself open to what might present, and like learning the parts of my process that are healthy for me, regardless if any insight or vision comes from it. Just like, you know, holistic. I'm a whole system. I'm a whole being. And it's like kind of a joke, but I sent to Joe a while back, but like, how subtle can it get? I have that rattling in my brain sometimes. It's like sometimes it becomes so subtle, you might miss it. If you're distracted, if you're, filling your awareness with outside noises, not that it has to be quiet, but I mean like podcasts, music, it's like, am I clear enough in my own self that I would notice something, even if it's super small? And I don't know. That's what I've been playing with recently, is how small can it get? Well, I have one last question for us. And that question is, what does it mean to be a visionary in today's world? What does that look like? Like, let's say that there's someone listening to this and they in some way resonate or relate to any one tiny bit of anything that we shared. And they're going to move on from this moment. Like, what does it mean to do that today in our modern world?
The first thing that pops into my head, kind of, we were talking about earlier, just how noisy and loud everything is. I think if you can get away from that and sit down and be present and find out, kind of what you're built for, what you're meant to be doing, what brings life and what is creative. I think that needs to be really squared away with anybody. I think everybody has it. I think it just takes like kind of silencing everything and aligning, and then kind of what you're saying, like your vision, it's communication, like take action on something. If you see something or you're prompted in a direction, something brings you hope, or even if you have like, oh my God, that looks so cool. If you're inspired by something like, oh, that should exist, do it. Take a chance on it and do it, and risk being foolish, or people, whatever, poking at you. But I think to communicate and take chances and to step out, I think is the key to it. And it's scary, but just do it anyways. And it'll get easier, and then you'll be fearless before long at some point. But you will have made the world cleaner and better and more inspirational and affected. You will affect people's lives when you do it. It will have an effect.
I can just picture just like a little cubicle and then you standing up and just going, just getting up and walking, not looking around you. You are just wherever that's placed, it's your spot. You just get up and go. And because the way the cubicles are placed, some people will see you pass by and then they'll choose to get up and go whatever direction they're facing. But it's, you cannot look around. You have to just keep going. Everything will work itself out. Everything will unfold the way it needs to. Anything in your way will eventually move, or you may have to step over it, but you just keep going straight and keep going.
First thing
Something
I
that popped up. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
The first thing that I thought of was a perspective that I often have is remembering that I perceive this as a transitional climb. And so, and that phrase comes to me a lot, just to remember, like, whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm looking at, just to having that perspective of understanding this is a transitional climb, and that has a lot of implications for anything that's going on. And so it's like, it makes sense that, like, I think I think it's very human and something that's very commonly reinforced societally between us to be afraid of something that you don't have a model for or that isn't familiar. Um, that's so dangerous. You know, you very well might not survive if you don't follow what you have models for. You know, where's the safe food to eat? You start eating random things, you know, that could be poison. Like it's like really primarily fear inducing to do something different. But when you're living in a transitional time, actually the thing that's the same is dangerous because it's like it's you don't history's not on your side kind of thing. It's like you can't go back, and doing the same at this point is essentially going back because like the whole swing of things is moving into something new and different. And I think that it's been really important for me to respect like how a lot that is. It's so much, and it makes it makes sense. You know, I'm really tired a lot of the time, and there's a lot of confusing and painful feelings that'll come up around doing anything that might seem like, well, I should just be able to do this. It shouldn't be that hard. You know, I should be able to XYZ basic, you know, adult thing or taking care of myself thing or whatever thing. And it's like, no, actually, because it's not that basic. You're actually doing a huge like job in the like evolutionary transition of humanity just by doing this thing with the level of consciousness that you have and with the level of awareness that there's so many factors involved in what you're doing that humans just used to not be aware of, and now you so much more are. So it's not just the same old basic thing, even if it might look that way from the outside. And then even more so the more you get into something that's, you know, obviously some kind of a step or reach, like a big, like, okay, I'm really creating something, I'm really bringing something through, you know, just exponentially. So, and so having a lot of grace with myself of like, okay, you know, I am probably going, you know, because it's like we're not in the new thing yet. The old stuff is still there. I'm going to have old style responses and habits and learnings and whatever that are going to come out in what I do. So, you know, it's going to make sense when it's like it makes sense that things are wonky. It would be weird if they weren't wonky, like because this is a transitional time. Things are changing. It's different, and just like that. That's part of it. I love a mentor of mine often says mistakes aren't optional, and it's like right, like making a mistake isn't a mistake. Like making a mistake is part of the process. That it's not optional. So like, oh, okay, just make it easier for me to roll with it with that way.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up about like the transitional time because I like what this brings up for me is like when we think about what it means to be a visionary now, like we're in 2025, right? We are in a time in the world where we have access to so much information and history and patterns and science and discoveries and theory. Like, literally, if there's been a thought, it's been documented, right? Like, there's just so much in the world, and it's right here. We can search for anything. We can learn anything. Like, the information's out there. And I think for a vision to come to you or for you to create one now, we're in a really powerful place because not only, and I would say for like most of the people I've talked to that even have this experience, a lot of the visions and things that they're seeing or ideas they're having or whatever, it's even if there's elements of it that they understand or that they recognize, there are elements that are new that they've never seen done that way. And I feel like it mirrors that transition. It's like we have these frameworks in place that exist that are here. And I think we're being given ideas that kind of live more over here. And we are the in between. Like we've lived through this, we have access to this side of things. But by the time our visions come into the world or they expand, their ripple effects take place, whatever, it's going to be in the future. And I think it's having a level of discernment for yourself of, I don't want to say your role in that, but like who are you in that trajectory, and kind of like holding that awareness for yourself and that understanding of there will be things I won't know until it happens. And there will be information that I do have access to that I don't need to pay attention to. And then like kind of constantly navigating, I don't know if you can hear that. Constantly navigating between the two. It's like, I mean, we all have a choice with the visions that we're given or the ones that we create, whatever, of like, am I going to use some old template, some old framework of what's been? And sometimes that is what we need. Or am I going to go create this new blueprint? And yeah, I think that's what it is today. It's that being in between, being the bridge.
Yeah, that question is like, who am I in this? Is just so central. And I think one of the things that's been so supportive of me is having some frameworks to start to understand that, like, oh, you know, being someone who was raised very much that you're supposed to be like everyone else, and whether or not that was explicitly said, that was often the messaging, that was often the energy behind things. And so realizing, like, oh, not only am I like, I'm not supposed to be like everybody else, and I cannot be. It is not possible. It's like, who am I in this? And I was reflecting on when James made a really great point about like kind of stepping back and getting into the silence to touch in with who am I and what am I doing kind of thing, and like just stepping out of the noise. And one of the things I was reflecting on after he said that was that for me, often something I've had to learn is that the way my system works, often I need to not physically, literally step away from the noise. That for me is a like that's a conditioned response that like I learned like, oh, okay, if you're to give an example, I had a prolonged bout of severe burnout. And then as I was trying to recover from that, and I kept just hearing like, okay, you gotta rest, you gotta rest, you gotta rest. And so I kept trying to force myself into, okay, I need to be in a dark room, I need to be quiet, I need to be still, I need to not be listening to a podcast, I need to not be reading something, I need to, that was my picture of what does rest look like. And then several different things came into my brain to start considering some alternatives. And one of which was an astrologer told me that because my Venus is in the ninth house. That means that the way that I regulate my nervous system and the way that I find like calm and balance will actually be through getting out of my routine and learning new things. And so there was much more like, that's not the picture I ever learned of what rest looks like. But several different things like that came into my awareness around the same time. And I started to shift like, oh, okay, stop trying to do what I think rest looks like and touch into what does rest actually feel like for me. And it turns out often that is listening to podcasts, that is like studying some system that I'm really interested and engaged with. And like by following that natural flow in myself, my system gets into the line it wants to be in, and I can relax into that. And I can get so much deeper of a rest than if I'm trying to force myself to do this like really still thing that I think is what rest looks like. And so it's all in line with that, like figuring out like, okay, who am I in this? And then just being that with like, okay, there's no set template of what that looks like. And sometimes who I am is someone who still has XYZ bad habit, or, something that's like ultimately I know the end of the line answer is going to be that thing has to go. But if it's here now, it's here now. So let me be with it here now, and then I'll learn how to be what that end of the road place is, not trying to cart before the horse. I don't need to jump out ahead of it. I can be where I am, and it just, who am I in this?
I like that question, who am I in this? Because I feel like everything you were sharing just now, it's like that knowing yourself, knowing your process, knowing what works for you, and having that understanding of those things is then what allows you to move forward, or maybe not move, maybe stay right where you're at and keep, being where, it's there's no like one way or one path or one expression of what is possible. And that makes it fun.
Yes.
Well, I know we're kind of getting like close to our time. So I just was jotting down a couple of things, like as everyone was sharing, that I felt if I could give the audience just a nice, neat, like recap, anchor point, blueprint. We opened with what is a visionary. And so I want to leave you with these little tidbits of insight that were sprinkled throughout this podcast in their words. So we have these are opportunities as they present themselves, opportunities, right? You can take it or leave it. It becomes a part of your vocabulary or language. Be present with it, value it, take action and experience it. Step out, dance with it, communicate. This is a relationship. Everyone has a piece of this puzzle. It is the embodied expression of the infinite. The world did not happen to us. We happened to it. And it is us embodying the spirit that makes it happen. Discipline, what that looks like is understanding how the subconscious and conscious mind work together to bring these things into our reality. Honoring the
Did
path.
she just jump off of us?
Oh, I don't
She
know.
was on a roll too. I
She's the last
know.
person I would have
Especially
expected to
right
fall
at
off
the
of
end
there. Is
when
this
she was giving
connection?
that beautiful recap.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonder if,
I wonder if there's a way for
I
us to
think it
invite
just made
her back in
okay.
here.
She has
There she is. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I don't
There
hear
we go.
you.
Still can't hear you.
Okay. I know.
Waited till you were listing off all the good stuff. Well,
And then there were two.
I know it.
And we're back. I hate that it cut us all out there at the end. Again, the tech demons, it just popped us all off right there. So I want to take a second and finish with the little highlights and recaps that we were sharing right there at the end because they were so juicy. So right where I left off, the last thing I wanted to share was that this is something that we steward. It's when we stay in alignment with what we were created to do, who we were created to be, and we bring something new into the world in a truthful way. We are functioning on something that people can't see, and that is powerful and it is felt. Sorry, I saw something out of the corner of my eye and it's a cricket. Hey, cricket. Okay, sorry. It's what you do with it. It's what you do with it. So, anyways, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I'd love to hear what you got out of this episode, any insights that you're taking away from this and what it meant to you. And we look forward to seeing you next time on another episode of Visionaries in Progress, the podcast experience.